is to underline the need for more moderate growth. The average over the last 3 decades, 30 years, was 10%. Investment has been more than 45% of national income and GDP each year since 2009. The rise in Tokyo's extended the previous day's recovery there. Investors were also digesting new data showing that Japanese inflation fell back to zero in July. Now, they've had a major problem with deflation in Japan. Marking the end of the week of corporate results, the supermarket Woolworths reported, this is in Australia, a drop of 12.5% in their profits. The Woolworths shares closed 1.5% higher. In South Korea, the KOPI index finished 1.6% higher there. So some movement in Asia, basically like a seesaw in their equity markets, up and down. Let's grab the UK here. Second quarter UK growth study at 0.7%. This is from the Office of National Statistics on Friday. No change to the reading of from the 3 months to June. Net trade boosted GNP by 1 point in Q2. This is in the UK now, the biggest contribution from trade in 4 years. Exports jumped. Economists have said the boost to trade might be temporary because of persistent strength of sterling, in other words, the pound, and the turmoil, of course, in the Chinese markets. Business investment rose 2.9 compared with the first 3 months, the highest figure. A senior economist at Toombs, Samuel Toombs, he's a Capital Economics, said the figure puts paid to the idea that uncertainty about the general election would weigh on capital expenditures. Household spending increased 0.7%, but was lower than the 0.9% in Q1. Weak inflation, low interest rates, and a strong pound have helped to keep consumer sentiment buoyant. The UK economy expanded by 3% last year, and the best results since 2006, before the Depression. The Bank of England expects the same momentum to be maintained this year, forecasting a 2.8, not shabby in industrial economies of late. With growth in household real incomes set to remain supported by low inflation, building wage growth, that's what basically you want, wages up, and strong job creation. We continue to think that the economic recovery will sustain its current pace in the second quarter of 2015. That's in Mr. Toombs. Thursday, the UK, well, we won't get to that. We've already covered the U.S. Quite well. And that is looking up. Ukraine secures a 20% debt write-off there. And also some comment here on China. Billionaire Wang Jilan said dropped targets there. He's a billionaire in China. The Chinese government is targeting growth around 7% this year. Mr. Wang said his country needs to drop the fantasy of keeping up high growth rates of 7 and 8%. I agree there. Markets tend, as markets mature, they tend to moderate in economies of their growth rate, and part of that is the global economy. You see, the Western economy is running at about 2.5 to 3.35%. So then you have a top perhaps of 4%, and so with China 7 and 8%, a little bit unrealistic. Despite a rally, this is on the Shanghai index. Leading shares down more than 20% in the past 2 weeks. That's just a course adjustment there. Transformation, Mr. Wang said the focus for China should be sustainable, safe growth rather than selling targets at a long-term unrealistic. He said his country should accept growth rates of 6 or even 5%. Well, 6 or 5% for a Chinese economy is good, but part of the problem there is that emerging economies, example would be in the south of the Americas, need to run a little bit higher than what traditional capitalists would look at. Traditional capitalist economies would be looking at, say, 3% growth, and between 3 and 4% as inflationary growth, whereas other economies need room to wiggle. Particularly, I'm thinking about the Argentine economy. Let's go to the markets here. And Brazil, we didn't report on Brazil this week, but Brazil is trying to make some progress in spite of other problems that they have, particularly with China and other people. Nonetheless, the markets are all up. The global BBC 30 at 38.91. This is on Friday, unless otherwise noted. The FTSE was, well, we'll just do FTSE all shares here. We usually do FTSE 100, but we'll do FTSE at 31.61. In Amsterdam, they were at 2.60 on Friday. The DAX was down 17.09. In Paris, at 16.95 on Friday. In Brussels, at 17.66. In Madrid, at 62.70. In Zurich, they were down 27.48. In Johannesburg, they were also down at 294.82. In Bombay, 161.19. In Karachi, 447.68. In Lahore, 136.70. And in Colombo, 77.38. And also on Wednesday, 8.90, all in the positive range there. And let's get on to Sydney. They were 32.10. The Nikkei on Friday was 561.88. The Hang Seng was down 226.15. In Shanghai, they were 148.76. The Dow was down 11.76 on Friday. The Nasdaq 15.62. The Merck at 1.21. In Sao Paulo, they were in the negative 561.40, and in Mexico also in the negative 161.50. Let's go to the commodities. And we'll be looking at Brent crude. Brent crude was up $2.39 at $49.95. The spot was also up $2.72 at $47.74, sort of up and down. Texas Intermediate crude was up also $2.69 at $45.25. T-Boone Pickett jumping for joy. He remembers $15 a barrel oil. But $15, basically in the 70s is where it is now. The Forex index down. This is on gold, down $3 at $1,125.50. Dubai gold futures were down $1.10 at $1,122.50. Silver was up 17 cents at $14.44. We'll look at the Unex Life futures. And cocoa was down $5. Wheat futures were, down 50 cents. Robusta coffee futures down $42. And sugar was down $2.80. The Bloomberg Commodity Index at 1.64, are a 1.9% change there in the plus, if you want to look at it as that. Nonetheless, this will do it for us. For those in business, make next week a productive one. For the consumer, keep your eye on the prize as we go in to the end of summer, back to school for many people. That is a push point for many retailers. They'll be looking at what they can do with back to school. Back to school has obviously changed since we were back to school. But nonetheless, it's still back to school. You have online merchandisers out there. Amazon is continually tweaking their so-called Prime delivery, where they can make it in hours, not days, in many cities, using regional warehouses, etc. Also, they're organizing drives at Amazon. So those are some of the things that are coloring the news there. Nonetheless, have a good weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you next week on This Week in Economics. We're also on Twitter. You can look on our various outlets there. We're on Blog Talk. We're on iHeart, in a number of others, Stitcher, and you name it. Basically, we are there. And also, our Twitter feed is more up to date than the Facebook, and we're going to change some things there, but we'll be announcing that on future shows. Good day.